I knew the Lord from when I was a child. So I had been brought up in a family that taught me who Jesus was, but I hadn't followed him as such. So I didn't really know what relationship with Jesus looked like or anything like that. It wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I started to look at other types of spirituality. And so I'd always just had Christianity. And then I started to read different books like Eastern philosophies. But all the while, I was living in a relationship that had addiction in it. It was volatile and it was inconsistent. And so my life was up and down, and I'm trying to also practice these things to keep myself in check. And so I went along this process for quite some time, and my relationship with my older children's dad ended quite badly, like it wasn't a healthy ending. I met Honiana as my husband, and we had like an amazing romance for a year. He swept me off my feet. He just treated me amazingly, which was awesome, and I hadn't had that so much before. So he was also in attending Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous meetings, and he knew that I had a background of living with someone else's addiction. And he suggested I go to Al-Anon, which is for people who are family members or friends or children of addicts, basically, or alcoholics. And he said, oh, it'd be really good. It's a spiritual program. And I would go into the Al-Anon meetings, and they have slogans in there, and they put them around on the floor. And every week I was going in on a Friday lunchtime meeting, and I'd sit in front of one that said, let go and let God. But it was bothering me because I would sit in front of it every week, and I'd go in not looking where I'm sitting. I'd sit down, and there it would be again. I'm looking at the floor, and I'm looking at the slogan, and I'm listening to somebody else share. But all of a sudden, I felt the presence of God enter the room. It was a tangible presence of the Lord, and he came into the room with me. And I remember looking like I'm going to see Jesus. And what I saw was the room was bright, everything was bright. I heard him say that he was still with me, but that I had gone away. And I didn't see him, but I knew it was him. And I've told people about this, especially people who don't know him. They say, how do you know it's him? I'm like, you know it's him when it's him. I didn't have any reason to think it was him, but it was him, and I knew. I remember really clearly hearing God say, worship the Creator. And that might sound simple to somebody, but I was worshipping creation for a long time. It was like an instantaneous understanding of who God is and how deceived I had been. It was actually what it felt like. I was so aware of deception in those early days. And so I went on this journey then of seeking, looking at people's testimonies. I wanted to know if other people had experienced what I'd experienced. So I'm on YouTube finding out if people have had such direct encounters with Jesus before. And so then I've gone into New Life Church, and it was Aspire Church in Nelson. Honiana wasn't a Christian at that point, and wasn't very happy that I was either. He handled it for a little while, and I couldn't stop talking about Jesus all the time. And I'd try to tone it down, and I'd maybe manage it for 2 or 3 days, and then I'd say something else that I couldn't help myself saying. But I do remember praying, and God clearly told me to leave Honiana to him, and I did after that, because I had been trying too hard. And it suddenly dawned on me that I wanted to get baptised. I really wanted my family to attend, of course, and so I've gone home this Sunday, and I said to Honiana, I'm getting baptised next week. And I invited his friends as well. I invited my friends, his friends, because I was a brand new Christian that wanted everyone to know Jesus, and I was trying to get everyone and as many people as I could in the church. So Honiana reluctantly came. He did, and he was really uncomfortable in the church. I was so grateful that he was there, really grateful that he was there. And I got baptised. It was incredible. You know, he witnessed people share words and all sorts of stuff in that environment. And he just seemed like he was still really closed off to it. And so after that time, I tried to get him to come to church with me. And eventually he did. He did come. But again, he wasn't happy about it. He came reluctantly. Everything was sort of reluctant. And I do remember feeling disappointed, you know, just wanting so much for him to know so that we could be on this journey together, and then being disheartened all the time. There was this one particular day where we had to drive about 25 minutes to go to church. Honiana was arguing with me and he was angry with me. And I was looking out the window and listening to him and praying. And we get into town, and I go to get the kids out and to go in, and he says he's not coming in. And I looked at him like, oh, I'm kind of frustrated, like you've come all this way and now you're not coming in. And I went in and he ended up coming in. So I was in the children's church. I was in the creche, but I ended up stuck in there with one of my children who were not letting me leave or something. And a friend of mine comes in and she goes, Maria, Honiana's just put his hand up for salvation. And I'm like, no way, like today, because I know what's going on before we've got to church. And I just couldn't get my head around it that was the day. So we've gone home that day and it was until like later in the afternoon, and he says, oh, I've got something to tell you that happened today. I put my hand up for salvation today. And I'm just like, wow, that's amazing. But he was quite flat for a few days, I do remember. He'd had an experience with God in the church service that he knew was Jesus, and he'd asked for it before he'd gone in, not knowing he was going to have it. So his transformation has been incredible. He's softened so much. His heart is softened. But I was actually just thinking about it the other day, how different Honiana is to how he was. He's still Honiana, and so the essence of who he is still him. And he's always been a really cool guy. You know, he's a cool guy with Jesus, which is just next level now. And I mean, it is a process, and it's a refining that God does in all of us. And I think it's chiseling off the rough edges and smoothing us out a bit as we go on our journey with him and get closer to knowing who he is, and he transforms us more and more. Well, I think a word of encouragement that I would give to other women who may have a husband that is not walking the Lord with them is just to keep praying for him and just remember that God has him. And so we might feel like we want to be in the driver's seat and like controlling things and trying to make things happen. But God actually has all of us. And so just like he had us and he called us, he has our husbands.
I hope you experienced the love of Jesus as you watched this video. To see more great content, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and explore our website fantailstudios.com.